and welcome to our next interview in the Beyond Boundaries series. Today I am joined by somebody you'll know very well, which is Kobi Bendelak, and a somewhat newbie on the scene, Yael. Hello, Yael. Hello, Kobi.
Hi.
Hi.
Now, Kobi, you need no introduction, so I'm not gonna even ask you to introduce yourself. But Yael, I'd love to say hello to you and to hear a little bit more about your role in Insurtech Israel. Please, could you introduce yourself?
Well, thank you for having me. I joined Insurtech Israel 8 months ago. My background is from a CVC. I was the CEO of a CVC for 6 years. We invested in aging, in age tech, in wellness, and in digital health. And I joined Insurtech Israel with all the activities that we are doing in Israel and abroad, and you will hear about it. I'm very happy to join. The reason that I decided that I need a change is when we invested in seed money in those kind of companies, which obviously deals with prevention and early detection, I realized that there is a big gap between the values that those companies are presenting and the values that insurance companies are looking for. And I decided that we need to build a better bridge, and this will be the next hype in insurance. And I hope that I succeeded. If you've seen the latest report from Deloitte, you see that this is exactly the future.
For sure. Well, look, it's a pleasure to have you on board. I don't envy your position having to work with Kobi, but I imagine you're having some fun. Kobi, lovely to see you. How are you doing?
I'm fine. Great. We are expecting for a great time ahead, so we're really excited.
Good stuff. Now I got a bunch of questions for this study around Insurtech Israel, but I never feel Insurtech Israel is very true to its label, right? I mean, I know you're focused on Israel, but you guys you're probably more global than anyone else on the scene, right? You're everywhere. But maybe if we start with Israel, and then we can go out from there. And maybe Yael, well, I'll start with you, right? And thinking about the ecosystem out there. And I've visited Tel Aviv and met with a bunch of these startups a couple of years back, and was truly blown away by what is going on in the Israel scene. But what makes it such a thriving ecosystem? What makes Israel a success, and how has that changed over the last couple of years?
Well, I think that the most important phrase in your sentence was the ecosystem. We have more than 240 startups that is raising every morning and are doing Insurtech. This is more than 1,000 people that are dedicated to the space, and it's raising and it's flourishing. If I'm just remembering 2024, last year, we had 72 startups, new startups that joined our community. What we are seeing is that new verticals, new areas like climate and space approaching insurance, and this ecosystem is just growing and growing, and everybody is looking how they can contribute to, I think in the end, to the welfare and the wellness of the society.
Cool. No, I love it.
If I can add for that, in general view, what made Israel so successful, Insurtech Israel as well, so successful in the Insurtech scene around the world, is something very, I think from my perspective, very important. So on top of the great infrastructure that we're having here in Israel to be entrepreneur, global VCs, global headquarters of big technology companies, academy, the army, all that, on top of that, I think Insurtech is something very unique. Is not just technology, is solving problems for big problems by implement technology. And we know how to solve problems. We, meaning the Israelis, we know how to solve problems. So I think because of that, on top of the great infrastructure, we are so successful. We know how to solve problems and implement technology in the solution. So that's what makes Israel so unique in the Insurtech scene.
And Kevin, what are your views in terms of the last few years of change for Israel as a whole, right? But the Israeli Insurtech scene. You know, when I was over there, it was cyber, right? But I don't feel like that is the case so much anymore.
No, of course not. I think all the finance tools, and Insurtech is part of that, are really accelerate here in Israel. Really, people use it. The insurance companies implement it, and it's a great base for that. We are starting a new venture with one of the Israeli biggest insurance company called Migdal Insurance. We are opening in a sandbox. It's something unique. You don't have it in every other place in the world, that insurance company open the data, not the synthetic data, real data, millions of items for new startups to try to play in the sandbox. It's a great validation. It's something unique. And for your question, that is the answer. We are so unique. So bringing new ideas to the market. I hope it will be a duplicate around the world.
Nice.
This is our mission.
That's a local sandbox, is it, for local insurtechs?
No, it's going to be for a global one. Of course, we will start with the local one, but if it will accelerate, we will be happy to host in that tools another Insurtechs, of course, coming from our hubs, Insurtech hubs in Guatemala and in Europe, but we can do that. We can use it for every other startup that's relevant to the idea.
Nice. Now, I want to talk about Guatemala, but in a minute, Kobi. Now, quickly give me a run through where you guys stand as a business, right? So you've got because you kind of bridge the association and the accelerator program. Give me an update. Where are you guys at? How do you balance those dual roles?
Well, we actually have 4 verticals.
Okay. There's my research. Come on,
we are jungling. The first one is an investment. We invest in pre-seed and seed money. The second one is the accelerator, which won to be the best Insurtech accelerator program in 2024. We are very, very proud. And the third one is a business development vertical, which is not part of the accelerator. And the fourth one is a media, what we call a media vertical. We are publishing every week Insurtech Israel news. And we are taking delegation once a year to Europe and once a year to United States to a roadshow and to major conferences. And so we are jungling between all of them. And above all this, we have our global activities.
Love it. Yeah, tell me about the everything else is very self-evident from the labels you used. What's the business development side of it? Tell me that. Is that helping the startups with their scale and connection into the corporates?
Yes, of course. Actually, we are working with 22 partners from all over the world, from Australia, IAG, Japan, United States, Europe, all over, and Israel, of course.
Sure.
So we are building the network of connections, the connections for the startups. We are opening doors. We are helping them to reach the right person and the right place, which is obviously very, very hard to manage your way in a big company, big corporate like insurance companies. We are teaching them about the insurance companies. I started my conversation about speaking about the language that you need to use when you are approaching insurance companies. So this is exactly what we are doing. We are taking startups not in the insurance space, teaching them about insurance and helping them to approach the insurance companies. And in this, we're enriching not also the companies, but also the insurance companies.
I love that. How are they being received? How are the big carriers, reinsurers, brokers, whoever you're introducing them to? How are the startups, scale-ups being received by them?
We see a lot of acceptance. We see a lot of interest. This is new. I would take you one example about a company that came from the space vertical. They are dealing with the data that is coming from satellites and going down to analyze in some, I don't know, computer farms, or I don't know. So they are dealing with the streaming of the data and making insurance that now they will build insurance for the streaming of the data. And actually they came from the space industry. So it's very interesting because it's new. It's something like cyber and satellites and space. And we are combining everything together, and there's a lot of interest. Really, we see that every time that I'm presenting this company, a lot of insurance companies are asking for for another meeting and to dig into the solution.
Yeah, I love that. I think at Sønr, our role is in a similar way, right? As an ecosystem provider, we scout and track these businesses, and one of the key things that has come out from our clients over the probably last 18, 24 months is the last thing they want to see is any Insurtech from the Insurtech ecosystem. And that's not true, but they know these guys, right? But what they're really interested in is anybody coming from the outside into their space, right? And that can move the dial from A to B. And I think it's super interesting that you guys are looking at that.
Yes, and you could see that the climate area is flourishing. With
I was going to ask about the trends that you're seeing. Yeah, so I mean, Kobi, you talked about finance, and Yael, you've talked about kind of the space tech and now climate, right? What other interesting kind of areas are you seeing from your accelerator, or even just from your kind of cohorts coming through?
I think there is a very interesting topic. I don't know if you have heard about that. Maybe not. Probably not. It's AI.
No, I don't even know what it stands for.
Yeah. It's artificial intelligence. It's something very new. Nobody speak about that until today, but it's so AI. Of course, is the main topic. But as Yael mentioned, the climate tech and the space tech is very, very interesting. We are seeing here a lot of development. What Yael described is very interesting. Startup is dealing with biometric insurance, so it's another hot things around biometric insurance. Because if you want to operate in a new product, you need to bring new ideas, new solution, and this is what we are saying. The biometric and the embedded is very in high level. One more thing that I want to say about that is not just the topics; it's the environment. As someone that's been in the insurtech industry for 7 years, I think so almost 7 years, I can see the improvement around and how I have a very long perspective. And I remember when the insurtech industry started, and the insurance company was very keen about it, very curious. You know, all the CEOs arrived to every insurtech conference, and it was very easy to schedule meeting because they want to understand what is it. Now, it's not. You see the difference between the ages, the period of time. Now the insurtech is something that they really understand. The insurance company and the real insurance player really know what it means. Not afraid from that. Not too curious about it. It's part of the work plan for them. So, and it's great because it's bring the industry to a very mature status. And it's hard to convince the insurance company to work with, but if it's on their work plan, it's easy to accelerate the relationship and the sales process. So that's for your question. It's not just the topics; it's the environment.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. So taking that strand and looking forward 2-3 years, how do you see that changing? Because I think there's some interesting conversations I've been having. So venture clienting, open innovation, all of the big carriers or big corporates working with external players, whether insurtech scale-ups, startups, vendors, whatever label we want to give them, right? There's a real maturity, and I echo what you're saying. There's also a really interesting narrative at the moment that I'm hearing around these big companies moving to that back to the build function. So innovating themselves, their internal teams able to spin up technologies within days, if not weeks. And therefore, is there a need for that external ecosystem as much as before, right? Which, I mean, hey, it's my job. I hope there is a need, and I'm sure it's the same for you guys, right? What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on that?
I think the title for what you said, and it's the insurance industry in, let's say, in 10 years from now will be insurtech industry. So all the insurance company will be insurtech. Not meaning startups, meaning big companies, but will act like a technology companies. Like everything will be technology or more advanced. I think in less than a decade, even 10 years from now, that's what we will see. The insurance will be insurtech. Everything will be even in Africa, in emerging areas. What do you think, Yael?
Well, I think that there is a place for both ecosystems. It can be internal division in the insurance companies, which the role will be to implement the technologies inside the company, build the infrastructure, do the analyzing, and see everything that is working as it should. And there is the ecosystem of the Insurtech startups, which they will raise and fall and shift the product and design it again. And because insurance needs the product fixed in the end to deploy it. And the ecosystem that we are building is the one that is shaping and thinking about new solutions, doing what startups should do, invent something new. They will come to the insurance companies and they will have their division and everything will go together.
Love it. Now, thank you, Yael. Kobi, you mentioned, so you've talked a little about emerging markets just then, but you also mentioned the word Guatemala a little earlier. Tell me, so this is, I saw your LinkedIn post maybe last week, and I thought I was just looking at the Insurtech Israel logo, but I wasn't. Yeah. So tell me, what are you guys up to with Guatemala?
Wow, that's a great story. So let's say 2 years ago, two and a half years ago, we realized that we are doing something very good here in Israel, and we wanted to duplicate it around the world. Doing that great things all over and spread our knowledge, know-how to our region. Of course, I don't think we can bring a lot of value to countries like US, UK, and other Western countries, but we understood that there is a lot of areas that are not so explored in the insurance industry around the world. It came from my visit in Nigeria, in Central America, in Asia, in the Middle East. That's great places that a lot of entrepreneurs operating there, but we are not scaling themselves out. So we decided to duplicate the success, the Israeli Insurtech success, to other regions, and we look for regions or areas or countries that operating or relevant for let's say in central areas, in regions that relevant, and that's one thing. The second thing is they're supposed to be a very stable insurance industry. Third, a lot of let's say qualified people, good academy, and in that regions we believe that we can operate. And we look for some regions, and we found Guatemala as a state and Guatemala City as a city that really relevant for us. And we started the journey there, and we opened an Insurtech Hub on Thursday, and this Thursday, in the beginning of May. We are opening or launching the competition to select the best startups in Guatemala City and Guatemala that will represent Guatemala in another initiative, global initiative. We have the Global Accelerator program that we operate this year, the third cohort. The first one was in Tel Aviv, the second was in US, and the third one will be in Munich in July. And in that initiative, we'll bring together startups from all the continent, from Africa, from India, from Australia, from Latin America, from Central America, from Asia, from Europe, of course, from Israel and US. 20 startups, 15 to 20 startups, gathering for 4 very intensive days, learning a lot about the insurance industry, building network in this time in Europe, have a great social events together. And it's amazing, you approach, you see how I'm so excited. You approach the meeting room, and you see people from Africa and people from India speaking about the same issues. And you say to yourself, wow, Insurtech connected people.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing, hey? And also, and beyond that, it's beautiful that you guys are bringing that together. So congrats, and also a bit of thanks. It's kind of, I think you're the same as me, Kobi. I've been doing this for 9 years now, right? And I feel like before I retire, I really want to see some change happen in this industry, and it's getting faster and faster, and it will, and it is, but it's we're all playing our part in driving this change, right? So yeah, long may it continue. Yael, last question I'm going to put to you. So some exciting things, right? We've got Guatemala, we've got the Munich in July. What can we expect now you're taking the reins of Insurtech Israel? What can we expect from Insurtech Israel over the next couple of years?
Well, I think in Israel we will grow. We will add more verticals to the Insurtech industry, that's for sure. We can see it in the next vertical that I'm going to focus on is health and age tech, because it's the next vertical that we need to focus on. And in the global area, there is something that is cooking, that we are cooking. I cannot speak about it now.
Always. Good.
It's on the way.
Good. All right. Kobi, Yael, thank you so much for your time today. Really enjoyed chatting. And hopefully this is going to be the first of a few conversations that we're going to have on the way up to, on the run up to ITC Vegas, where we're going to be launching the Beyond Boundaries report. So look, lovely chatting with you today, and speak to you soon.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having us, Matt. And
always a pleasure. Bye, guys.